Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The information here is strictly for educational purposes only and is not a recommendation to trade. You are solely responsible for your own trading actions. No members of DSC Capital were harmed in the making of this video. Hello, traders. Welcome to Nostradamus. This is your host, Sean Connery and Mohammed, and we're here to bring you an outlook of what we think might happen in oil for the first week of November. Anyways, let's go ahead and take it away. Mohammed, what's the screen that you have up so far?
So this is a full session TPO chart. We just have the regular market profile on the left, volume profile on the right, and this sort of dashed line down here. This is just the capping in like a 1 week of trading.
Mhm.
And pretty much what we did last week. So last week, one of the scenarios was that we would move higher, we would hold the Friday's high, and then we would see the gap fill. That was Rob's primary scenario, I believe. And that scenario played out pretty much perfectly. So we were able to fill in the gap. However, the market wasn't able to continue to the downside towards this naked VPOC we had down here. Instead, what we have is on every attempt to lower, so this is around where that low volume node was. And we can see that on every move lower, the market was just getting these marginal lower lows. And it wasn't really impressive because think about it. If you're a seller, you're selling pullbacks, you don't want to see these you don't want to see these marginal lows. You want to see the thing puking down to this VPOC. So this was like a little bit of a red flag. And then this paired with the balance. So when we take a look at where the VPOC is pretty much overlapping. Uh, that's the TPO VPOC that's overlapping. The volume VPOC is actually starting to move higher. And another thing about this is there was a little bit of a time frame shift period, which triggered over here on Friday. The market did hold that. So based on these sort of marginal lower lows that we have, so these marginal lower lows, the time frame shift, and the fact that Friday was able to hold that, for my primary scenario, what I'll be looking for, and we're also noting that Friday did shift time framing to neutral, so that's pretty big, pretty big. That could help with the long scenario. So if the market is able to just change this color, if the market is able to pull back and we can hold Friday's low, we can hold around this TPO volume point of control, or we just hold the general Friday's low area, then I would be watching for a long for us to continue higher. One that would go back to the MC point of control, which I believe is around I believe it's around 6230s, that point of control. Obviously, you
Mhm.
would also look for this swing high to be taken because it's just a move higher, pullback, continuation. And if this move higher gets, or this swing high gets taken, then we could start watching for the value area high of the composite distribution, which I have on this chart. So the MC point of control is our first target, and then the value area high of this distribution, which is way up at 6460s, which from from 60s to 6460s, that's a pretty decent move if that scenario is to play out. So that's the primary scenario, which is long. Do you want to share the secondary scenario?
Yeah, really quick. um, my secondary scenario from last week and your primary scenario from last week half worked out. Like I didn't get that full gap fill down to like the 58.50 or even further. And you actually got the pullback into that LVM that held. That was the key LVM that held, which was really interesting. So, and then if you were to expand those profiles or even look at a 30-minute chart, every time that we kind of probed in for those marginal lower lows, we would get kicked out of that area. Like it'd almost be like dipping your hand in the cookie jar and getting your fingers slapped. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty nice little nuance about the last week. So it's almost like Gandalf was there saying, "You shall not pass." So
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I think that your primary scenario is really spot on. Um, so the secondary is, yeah, we formed this one time framing down. We've just shifted neutral, and we have a balance below and technically a balance above. The 3 day balance above, the 3 day balance below. Um, we also had some OPEC news about, I think it was Wednesday, where they mentioned that they might eh, do a production increase of 137,000 barrels a day. And that was the rumor. And then now they're releasing the news. So I think that the selling the rumor happened on Wednesday, and it could be a buy the news moment, at the open. But um, my secondary is, what if we just right off the bat head higher because we're now one time framing neutral, and we run in to some stiff resistance from that. I think it's Monday. There's a really big VPOC there around that 61, 62 area. And that's a lot of overlapping value. That's a pretty heavy area. Um, what if we run into that balance and not necessarily reject it right off the bat, but start to balance there? So, Dalton says that if you break out from a balance and then you go into another balance area and balance, what if that's it? What if that's all we get for the progression upward? If that happens, if we see some sort of move upward and then balance within that balance area, for me, that's going to tell me I imagine that the people that are positioned there are the reason why it's balancing is they're getting the fuck out. So this scenario is move up to that area and counter some resistance, shit the bed, head lower, break the lows that we created from last week, and actually go down and fill those unfilled gaps. Maybe test that negative VPOC at 58.50.
Yeah.
That is a secondary. Either either scenario has some pretty good movement, some pretty good targets. We just have to see which one plays out, and who knows? Maybe we'll see both of them play out.
Agree. And then also what I like about the that your secondary scenario is that we still have this naked VPOC. So if and I think if we get below prior week's low, I think this is likely to be tested because all this
Yeah,
volume, yeah, if all this volume doesn't hold on a pullback for higher and it breaks lower, I think just getting on a pullback short for lower for this VPOC, the defects, the singles, I think that would be literally the main play because this happened 2 weeks ago and this was just a news sort of run up higher. So maybe we just take back that news and it comes back lower. That's
yeah,
definitely a very nice scenario.
yeah. Either one has some really good risk to reward. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
All right, cool. Is you should I wrap up the video over here or
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
okay.
let's go ahead and give it a wrap up. There's nothing really much else to cover. We've pushed out our primary and secondary scenarios, and now it's just a matter of letting the market tell us what's going to happen next.
All right. Take care, everybody. Let us know if you guys prefer these shorter videos. So this week we're trying to do a little bit of a shorter video, mess a little bit with the structure of things. Or if you guys do enjoy the longer videos, just let us know in the comments below. That's
Yes,
all we have for today. We'll catch you guys
yes.
next week.
Be sure to put any comments in and make sure to like and subscribe. It
Yeah,
helps us out with the algorithm.
like and subscribe. All right. All right. Take care,
Cool. Take
everybody.
care, guys.